Welcome to an episode of the Blah Blah Podcast. I'm Iron Fist the Magnificent.
I'm Allie, the regular, I guess.
So, you and I were talking not too long ago about what makes a scary movie actually scary. And in all honesty, now that I'm real close to the age of 40, scary movies just don't tend to scare me. I still like watching them, but they don't generally scare me. There is one type of horror movie that scares the living crap out of me, and it's not just, I guess, one type, but any movie that you watch where the events of the movie could actually happen in real life, that's scary. For example, The Descent. I doubt that mole people actually exist.
But parts of that, like the being trapped underground before you know what's actually happening, that part is scary.
Godzilla or Godzilla. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. But anyways, not scary. I like watching it, but not scary. A lot of people put up a big fuss over that recent Netflix movie on Ted Bundy, and it's got some ridiculously long name derived from something that the judge actually said about him to describe his crimes. He really was a vile person. While that movie itself wasn't scary, the scary thing is people like that exist. And I think a movie that knocked it out of the ballpark, home run style, is a movie that not a lot of people are talking about, and they should be. I know Red Letter Media did like their review of it, but I'm talking about the Clovehitch Killer. And I don't know about you, but when we watched it, I had a bit of a hard time going to sleep afterwards because the guy portrayed the everyman, right? I mean, he was like a troop leader in the Boy Scouts. He was well respected in the community. Everybody thought he was the nicest guy on the planet. And it turns out he was a serial killer, you know?
Yeah, he was a church guy.
He was a church guy. Yeah.
That was, yeah.
I think they wanted to base his character, played by Dylan McDermott. I think the guy's name is Don. Mm-hmm. Largely based off of BTK, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the director said he didn't want to give the guy credit because that's what all these people want. If they don't kill themselves or get killed by the cops, they want people to know their names. So he made a point of saying, I'm not going to give him the credit he wants, but it's not hard to figure out who it's based on, you know?
Yeah, one of the creepiest scenes in that movie, was it his son? I think it was his son that is in the house but doesn't know what his dad is up to, and he's like hiding under the bed.
Yeah.
And he sees these man legs walk up alongside the bed in high heels. Mm-hmm. Because his dad was recreating what he did to his victims, and he was like hanging himself and taking Polaroids and stuff.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason afterwards, all that effort was for nothing because then he just like burns all the pictures or whatever. But to me, The Clovehitch Killer is one of the scariest movies around. And I was so sad for a long time when it came to movies being scary because ever since the Zodiac Killer movie, which, when was that? 2004?
I was, something like 10 years, 15,
Mark
I guess.
Ruffalo is in it. Who else is in it?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal, that's right.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And what made that movie so scary was not only were the quote-unquote crime scenes brutally graphic, but they wanted it to be accurate. So the brutality that you see in that movie, that's exactly what the Zodiac Killer, they believe, exactly what he did.
Yeah, they only show him actually murder people a few times in the movie, but it's like, it's jarring to watch. You're like, oh my God.
I mean, I really like the Chucky movies. You know, I get into all the different types of horror movies, but I don't really find them to be scary. I'm being distracted because I can hear the cat in the next room. He's probably going to try and break in.
Those movies are maybe more scary when you're a kid, which you're not supposed to watch them then. That's sort of the point. But when you're younger, they're scarier. When you're a grown up, the fact that people are actually murdering people and stuff, that ends up being a scarier thing than fake monsters and little dolls and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, like Hellraiser. Pinhead's not real. There's not going to be a Pinhead. I guess I understand why people were pissed off, though, about the Netflix movie, because they were saying, you don't want to glorify these people. There was also, recently we watched My Friend Dahmer, where they go through great lengths to humanize the guy.
That was part of the thing with the Ted Bundy movie too. Like, they humanized him and tried to make you feel sorry for him. Well, he's a handsome guy, blah blah blah. There's
a few times a year that I want to do bad things to the cat. This is one of those times.
No, he's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, the Clovehitch Killer from 2018, Dylan McDermott. He killed it. I mean, this has got to be one of the best roles that he was ever in. This little article isn't really about just that movie. It's about the top serial killer movies. I recommend it to anybody if they want to see something that has potential to make it so you can't sleep at night, at least for a couple nights in a row. Silence of the Lambs, another perfect example, because there really are people that have done cannibalistic things. There's that guy that was over in Germany that put an ad in the newspaper saying that he wanted a willing participant, somebody willing to be eaten, and somebody actually replied, and he videotaped it. And so he saws this guy's member off and tries getting him to eat some of it, but he had lost so much blood by then that he was in and out of consciousness. So what they ended up doing was he ended up just carrying him into the bathroom and leaving him in the tub to sort of bleed out. And then he continued to eat parts of this guy for a long time until he got caught. You might think that is just movie madness. That stuff is real. You've got these total sickos out there. I'm trying to think of who else they've made several John Wayne Gacy movies. And we were talking about this also earlier. That's one thing that I hate about the serial killer movies. Things go in trends. So right now we're seeing a whole bunch of Charlie Manson things come out. And then there's probably going to be more Ted Bundy things come out. And it's you're seeing the same topic over and over again.
The Manson movies are all coming out because of the Quentin Tarantino movie. Everybody's trying to get on that, jump on that bandwagon. Oh, people want to learn about him now or see movies about him because there's a big one that came out.
It's the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's the same thing with when a Transformers movie comes out. There'll be another movie that's it has some stupid name like Transmorphers. It's really close and people are like, oh, I want to see that. It's the same thing. It's that type of idea.
I'm bad at doing a movie review, and I don't think that that's what you and I would aspire to do anyway. So I'm not trying to review the Clovehitch Killer, and I'd be doing such a bad job of it anyway because we're bouncing around a lot. But I guess the whole reason for making this podcast and video, there's two reasons. Number one, I really like the Clovehitch Killer. I think it was creepy. They were on point. Number two, I've got to justify spending money on this damn green screen.
We're going to try it again.
The results were less than stellar last time, but I really did enjoy having the opportunity to talk about Dog Soldiers. I really like that movie. And I really like the Clovehitch Killer, so I think people should watch it. Now, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I think we covered it. I mean, Dahmer's had 2 movies. Mm-hmm. The first one came out, I don't even know when it came out. You look it up if you want. The one with Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, and
that low budget,
he did a great job.
He was weird, and
the My Friend Dahmer movie has one of the most creepy endings. Oh, shut up! Because you could tell that he was finally getting to the point where he was going to start killing people.
Yeah, that was an origin story, I guess you could call it. So it was a completely different movie than the other one. It made him he's a person. He's probably one of the worst serial killers.
But there's a lot of killers out there that make even Jeffrey Dahmer look like, I don't know, like they basically make him look like he's a kids show host. You know, he did some disgusting, vile things, but there are people out there that have done far worse and in greater numbers. And I gotta say, well, I guess not far worse, because killing is killing. But I would say BTK, with how he tortured his victims, is probably a little higher on the scale.
And the fact that he kept up an entire family and like that.
And that's what makes the Clovehitch Killer such an intriguing movie. And I honestly, about halfway through the film, I remember thinking to myself, I can't see anybody but Dylan McDermott playing this guy.
He doesn't really look like him, but he pulls off the role.
He pulls it off.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's not phoning it in. He is really in that character.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, what's that guy's name? Clive Owen or whatever?
Yeah.
I remember thinking, yeah, he wouldn't have been able to do that, I don't think. I don't think he would have been that perfect. Zac Efron, I don't think he would have been able to pull off the character. I think Dylan McDermott, this role was basically made for him. I recommend this film. What about you?
Yeah, me too. It was very good.
Now, where do you think it is on the scale of things with regards to other movies? Like Silence of the Lambs, I think is probably a more iconic movie.
That one's probably my favorite. And I think, I wanted to talk about this. I think the Zodiac Killer sort of took a little bit from it, because one of the creepiest parts of both of those movies is when the detective or FBI agent, whatever, is in the basement. You know, and they realize, oh, this is the guy who's killing all those people.
Yeah.
They might not necessarily be traditional horror movies, but those specific scenes, like if you put yourself in their shoes, like it's very scary.
It is very scary. But the thing that was scariest about the Zodiac Killer movie for me was just the total disregard for the human suffering that this person was inflicting when they got like the boyfriend and girlfriend just like face down in the dirt, and he just walks up nonchalantly and just starts stabbing him in the back while the guy's yelling out in pain. I mean, it was revolting to see that.
Yeah.
And that's not just movie magic. That's what the person did.
Yeah. I
think The Son of Sam was equally scary, even though he was far less sadistic. But I remember seeing documentaries on that guy when I was growing up as a kid. He just went around and killed people with a gun. You're just as dead if somebody uses a gun versus a knife. But with the knife, that's like an intimate way.
It's very personal. Yeah.
And I don't remember if they actually show how the Clovehitch Killer killed his victims, because we haven't watched that movie for like a year.
Yeah. I think so. I don't think it's not extremely graphic, because he basically just strangled him.
Yeah.
But that's also very personal.
That's very
shooting
personal.
somebody is probably the least personal way you can kill them, other than like blowing them up, because you're not even there for that sometimes.
It is the most humane way to murder people is with a gun. So, somebody needs to tell that to Beto O'Rourke, because there's all these kind-hearted serial killers out there. Yeah? Think about it. Beta. I'm going to call you Beta from now on.
Okay.
I'll tell you one thing, though. At least he has the guts to, admit what he's going for when he talks about, like, taking guns. So in the world of the beta males, he's the alpha dog. Whoa. I guess in the land of the blind, if you got one working eye, you're king, right? So, hey. But...
Okay.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. But I think that people should watch The Clovehitch Killer, and hopefully they enjoy it. Well, enjoy it. And appreciate it for what it is. It is not a movie that glorifies what the source material is based on. It's basically a movie, I think, created as a warning. Like the everyman guy next door that always has the barbecues, always, hey, would you like a beer? Lets you borrow his circular saw, and volunteers. Me and my wife, Megan, we can watch your kids, or give us a copy of your key while you're on vacation and we'll make sure that your cat gets food. You got to be careful about that stuff. And that's what this movie is really portraying. It is the person that you do not suspect would be dangerous that is dangerous. The most dangerous, I should say.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts?
No, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. I like it when it's neat and clean with a bow on it. And I like the ability to just ramble and talk about everything unrelated to the original topic and then somehow try and circle back to the original topic.
You tried.
And wonder if I did it any justice. Normally I don't. Anyways, thank you for watching if you're watching. Thank you for listening if you're listening. Thank you for doing both if you just wanted both experiences. I am Iron Fist the Magnificent. Oh, I'm hitting my own hat right off the top of my head. She's Allie. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're going to watch some more scary movies today. And no, neither of them are going to be the Clovehitch Killer. Should be, but it's not.